In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Jesus tells his disciples that sheep will go through the gate, but thieves and bandits will climb over the fence. As usual, Jesus' disciples do not understand his metaphor, his parable, which is, I suspect, in part a plot device so that the author can explain Jesus' meaning to the reader. Jesus tells his disciples that in this metaphor, he is the gate. This means that the main point of the story is to contrast in particular the sheep and the thieves. The sheep enter the paddock openly and with the whole community as a body because they're motivated by concerns for the whole community. The thieves, on the other hand, do not respect the needs of the community, but care solely for their own needs and thus sneak over the fence alone. The reason Christ chose sheep for the metaphor is that even more than other common animals such as cattle, horses, and dogs, sheep stick together and their social hierarchy is more relaxed. The flock all work as one to protect the entire herd. In fact, sheep become anxious if they cannot see other sheep at all times. Veterinarians encourage those who keep sheep to watch whether there are any stragglers through the gate. Such a straggler, they warn, may be ill because under normal conditions, all the sheep want to work together to be together. I think now many of us are feeling like sheep, perhaps a little anxious to be separated from the rest of the flock. There are, moreover, some thieves who are trying to get in over the fence to make a buck off of the anxiety of others. I've received an even greater amount of spam email than ever before. They want to boost my immunity and to sell me UV sanitizers. Through the parable of the sheep and the thieves, Jesus is explaining his anthropology. He's asserting that people resemble sheep in their social needs. Like sheep, in other words, we need to be part of a group, recognized and protected by others. The difference between us and sheep is that we convince ourselves that we do not need to be in community with others. Sheep do not subscribe to false ideologies about radical individualism and try to jump over the fence, wittily undermining themselves and the community. They do not read Ayn Rand. When we do something that is selfish and harmful to the community, we're acting against our own nature. We become alienated, which is why we feel the need to confess, to heal that rift. Christ knows that some will not listen, however. Some will always be self-involved, more concerned about status and hierarchy than about the common welfare. Christ therefore reminds us that those who go in through the gate will have life abundantly. In the midst of our recent struggles, our grief, and our anxiety, people also have been discovering what abundant life means. I've been hearing stories from you and other sources about beautiful things that have occurred since we were forced to slow down. Despite the funny memes about parents in close quarters with their children being stressed, I've heard about parents enjoying the gift of time to discover their children as people. In the past few decades, our society has taught us to engineer our children, to structure their lives with opportunities so that every moment is scheduled. Our busy children have not had time to be. College applications, after all, have no clear metric for being, for appreciation of family, of beauty, of grandma's cookies, of friends. Instead, we are encouraged to be consumers of experiences. People have been discovering for themselves, however, how important this being is. People have shared with me, for example, that they prayed the daily office with their grandchildren online. People are cooking for their loved ones, taking walks together, reading books together. In my own neighborhood, there was a wonderful communal beautification effort. And I read that a nurse from North Carolina went to New York to help. I'm sure there are many examples of that. I read that people have slept in a factory for almost a month to make masks for the rest of us. I pray that we will find a new way to structure our economy so that people who work in these jobs are not put in peril every time there's a downturn. To contribute so much to the well-being of the whole, only to be treated as expendable when things slow down is unacceptable. We're not doing our best by those people who are stocking the shelves, teaching, picking up trash, driving trucks, packing food. The economy will go up and down, but we can always find ways of making our society less fragile. Our values have been off kilter. We've been so busy chasing the good life that we have missed life. We've overvalued individuality and uniqueness, sought to do what no one else has done. We climbed Machu Picchu until that became popular, and then we looked for something else to do. Meanwhile, the most meaningful life experiences and contributions were actually devalued. I mean, anyone could listen to a bullfrog in a nearby pond, or hear a beautiful organ prelude in a church, or sit on the back porch with a loved one and watch bluebirds building a nest. I remember when I was in grad school and one of my relatives, reflecting widely held values, asked what I was going to do when I finished my education. I replied that I would be a teacher. And she said, "All that education and all you're going to do is be a teacher?" In other words, you won't distinguish yourself from the flock that way. But I want to ask you a question. What do you remember most about people whom you have loved over the course of your life? Was it the things that people put on their CVs? Or was it the everyday things you did together? Who had the most positive effect on your growth and well-being in life? Was it people who stood out or people who valued community? Society now has an opportunity to reevaluate what truly makes an abundant life. Each sheep must know that its contributions are appreciated and that it will be protected by the flock. Rather than admiring those who find ways to jump the fence, to propel themselves beyond the herd, we may finally admire those who work with the herd. It's an opportunity to learn what is truly essential in society and in our lives. We rise and fall together. We enter by the gate.